Okay, all right. Everything's looking good. Greetings and welcome, everybody. It is, of course, February 14th for Discussing Tabletop. It's technically the corporate love holiday.
It's
Hurrah.
Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Which, again, like, yes,
Happy
If you
Singles
got a
Awareness Day.
if you got a partner, treat them nice. If you don't, tomorrow you're gonna get a lot of half off chocolate.
true. I do have to remember to stop by. I probably could have stopped by and got some half-off chocolate today from the store, but I didn't feel like stopping. It was interesting that I do remember yesterday they were already setting up Easter. They still had the big Valentine's
I think
area,
they
but they
had
already
Easter set up already at my store before yesterday.
Yeah. So.
I get it. I used to work retail. They get that stuff like months in advance.
And it was interesting that we did have Friday the 13th yesterday. Ooh,
We did.
spooky.
And we'll have Friday the 13th again.
Yeah, I know. It's
Next month.
It's the rare double month for Friday the 13th. Thanks, February.
It was a weirdly peaceful day at work yesterday, probably. So maybe that's something to do with it.
I'm just gonna guess. People they don't want to mess with things. I guess it's
It was also cold, so old people probably didn't want to leave their rooms.
Yeah. We're finally getting some warmth around here, and the
Yeah, I got my window open because it's actually like decent outside.
I was able to enjoy some temperatures, and I had the car window open, didn't have the heat blaring for once when I was out. It's like, oh, it was a nice slight breeze.
I probably can sleep tonight without 3 blankets.
I'll have to see how it goes for me. But so, anything interesting happened on anybody's week this week? We'll kind of start by diving into the weeks. There's a couple things I want to bring up.
I have officially played every Halo game now.
Oh.
Because Umber and I played Halo ODST.
Mm-hmm.
Previously, the only one I had never played. Gotta say, probably would have been a better experience if I played it in 2009.
Honestly, that one was my favorite one. I liked it better than Reach. I liked it better than 3.
Playing it now, it's a little basic. It's also only like 4 hours long.
No, I agree that probably the biggest thing. It was definitely one of those games where it's like
I should have been here at the time.
Yeah, and the fact that there was no PvP, it was only PvE, but it was meant to be kind of an add-on to Halo 3.
Yeah, it came out like a year after Halo 3. It was, I think, a slightly cheaper price than Halo 3.
It was.
I want to say it was probably like $40. I imagine around that.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was a fun time. Will I play any future Halo games? I probably not. They haven't been particularly good.
It reminds me. I think I was saying yesterday, because I've been switching through catching up on 3 different podcasts. I've been doing some Adeptus Ridiculous. I did get onto the Acceptable Losses, and then also just for sanity, I've also been sort of sanity. The Star Wars Old Canon Book Club.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's one of my favorites.
But I've been kind of joining between those. So I did hear their new episode on the Gears of War universe, and I'm sorry, that was
my favorite shooter.
That was
Gears of War, my beloved.
I'm like, there's a lot of dark universes and grim dark things I can point out especially the tabletop sphere. We got Warhammer. We have if you want something on the D&D side, you get to go Dark Sun or something like that. And there's some others too. Probably play Fallout. But I'm like, wow, there's new levels of what the hell.
Gears is a not so secret grimdark.
Yeah,
but a lot of people haven't played Gears of War because it's not accessible.
I think it's also that entire thing of hearing about that and then hearing about how it's kind of like Halo. They had a franchise and just didn't know how to keep it going after the first 3.
Gears 1 through 3, Tactics, and then Judgment, very good games. 4, it's fine. 5, I hate it.
Mm-hmm. So it's I guess it's that entire thing is like most things. The longer you go and the more stories you tell, the harder it does become to keep things together. Especially big franchises. That's interesting. Worm, anything you have to throw out there for your week?
My boss keeps giving me 2-week jobs to do in a week.
Nice.
So I'm gonna say there was a few interesting things. For me, I want to say the big thing that okay, I'll call it a big thing, but it's like one of those things of like, I'm not really hyped for it, but it was interesting the amount of stuff in the PlayStation show in comparison to those other shows.
It's a very good showing for me. A lot of stuff I'm interested in.
Well, that's the thing. It's like I'm interested in these things, some of them definitely, but I'm not like hype for them. I guess is the entire thing. I guess like I'm just not in that point nowadays. I mean, like, I'm not gonna lie, it's not the greatest, but I would be glad to not have to break out my PlayStation 3 to play Metal Gear Solid 4.
No, that was the most exciting for me because and for people who don't know, until August, the only way to play Metal Gear Solid 4 is on original hardware.
Yeah.
It's not available on anything.
It also does give some hope to those people hoping for Bloodborne. Now, granted, it's Konami, but at least one of those things coming out from an older system is there.
We can hope. We can hope. We can hope to get Bloodborne at 60 FPS one day.
Yeah, that was definitely an interesting one.
The showcase is good. I'm glad that Remedy made Control 2 just the perfect game for me.
I think someone compared it to like Prototype and Infamous, and I'm
yes.
like, I didn't play Prototype, but I played a lot of Infamous. So I'm like, oh, I did like Infamous, and I watch it. I'm like, yeah, it does feel like a lot about that, like kind of.
There was a very Prototype gameplay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Prototype, in my opinion, wasn't actually like that great of a game.
It conceptually love it because originally it was supposed to be a Venom game, and then that obviously fell through.
I knew it. So
and
here's
then
the thing:
they made a mid game.
So Spider-Man.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a Venom game.
It was so Spider-Man coded. I was just all like, "This is." I didn't know that at the time, but I know exactly now that you mention it. Like, 100%, that's what it was.
But Prototype 1 is a weird game to go back and play. Doesn't really work very well anymore.
Nope. They didn't work very well back then.
No, but we had lower expectations back then.
It's the same thing of like, there's like a lot of games where I'm like, there's definitely ones that you can replay that, you know, like you can deal with some of their old mechanics. Like platforms are always platformers. Like even older platforms, okay, cool, they're more brutal. You know, nowadays, honestly, play them with like save states or something like that, you know, just to make up for a lot of the shit that was back then.
It's like watching Ray play Yakuza 3 remake, and it's like, oh, they didn't fix this at all. It's still bad.
As much as I do like his stuff, I just wait for those compilations on the Yakuza ones.
Oh yeah, so because Yakuzas are a commitment.
You know, and it's also like sorry, like there are definitely interesting ones. Like the only one that I really have been really interested in the Yakuza series is the pirate one, because that one it's just it's the level of ridiculous there was enough to make me go like maybe.
The pirate one is pretty good.
Like a culmination of a lot of their stuff, development and stuff. Anyway. But yeah, no, that was a very interesting, set of things, and I think that was probably the big thing this week that I can remember that really stood out.
That was the big media thing.
There were a couple.
I started the new Game of Thrones show. I can confirm is pretty good.
I heard good things about that.
Night of the Seven Kingdoms. I'm excited to see how HBO messes it up.
They probably will. Yeah,
they don't have a good track record with keeping these things going.
You're not wrong. It does seem like a more interesting concept than a lot of their things. Granted, like I've never been a big Game of Thrones person.
There you go, got it out.
But like the concept that was described to me for that was like that does seem more interesting because it's a simple like fantasy,
smaller story.
Yeah, fantasy exploration story that kind of seems neat. So
I'm gonna be honest though. Now I can't stop imagining Game of Thrones fans calling themselves gamer fans.
Nice, yeah.
You're welcome. Yeah, I guess that was probably a lot of the big things this week, right? I don't think there was any other major things, entertainment-wise or otherwise. I think
No, I didn't do too much.
I mean, Discord made an announcement.
Oh God.
Yeah,
I guess-
Discord
I guess we-
decided we want to collapse as a company.
Yeah. I guess that's important to talk about since we've been using Discord a lot. So
Back to TeamSpeak we go.
God.
No. Everyone just moved to Stoat. You haven't heard of it.
Yeah.
It's basically a group trying to be Discord, but not Discord because they literally.
It's the tech cycle. Every 5 to 10 years, the top one will shoot itself, and then someone else will take its place.
Yeah. Like. Again, I think I'm really gonna have to hold off. As much as I hate saying it, I am going to hold off on any big decisions. Well, I don't spend money on Discord.
Okay.
I'm gonna hold off on any big
I'm gonna
things
tell you-
until we find out what happens with what they do.
Yeah, that's my main thing.
In fact, part of me needs to go and cancel my Discord Nitro subscription until they figure themselves out. But yeah. No, realistically though, I did see someone kind of debunking it. It's not going to be as bad as it sounds, because literally it's only going to restrict access to 18 plus Discords.
Yeah,
if
the
you
problem
have
I
that
have
label
with it
on
is it's the way it reads. They're lumping everyone into the team category, which is a dumb idea.
Yeah. It's basically teen by default is what it's called.
Which is not a great way of doing it.
No, and well, okay. Here's the thing. There's three steps to this. I looked into this a lot because I was very curious. So the first step is going to be they're going to have an AI look at your history and records to determine what your age is based on like what you do in Discord.
Which is what YouTube did, and it worked fine enough.
Yeah. Then if that doesn't work and you still want to get past it, then you have to do the face thing, which apparently will be mostly local. I don't quote me on that.
They say it'll be local, but
here's the thing that I've heard about. They are working with multiple groups for this, and one of the groups is known for more of the local stuff, but one of the groups also doesn't do anything related to local and always breaks it off site. So it's kind of like that nebulous thing of we don't know for sure.
But here's the thing: if that doesn't work, then you have to submit an idea, which does go to someone off site. However, that company is more reputable. Then, if that doesn't work, because they don't actually review it personally, it's more a company that is automated. Then you have to submit your information to Discord tech support, and that is the problem. That's what got hacked recently and released everyone's data.
Yeah, the other problem is it came out today that one of the companies Discord is working with is very much tied to Palantir, which is the government surveillance company.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. So that one's a little spooky.
Yeah. So the problem is
we named our company after the orb that lets Sauron spy on people.
The problem, yeah, right. The issue with this whole thing, in my opinion, is just that it doesn't actually do what it says on the tin. It doesn't protect kids.
Yes.
No, none of the protect kids things ever is actually for protecting kids.
Yeah.
It just sounds good on paper, so that way companies or people will be like, you protect kids, I'm going to invest in your company.
Yeah.
And it is the thing that like everybody that has a brain can see that because Discord is switching over to a publicly traded company in like less than a month.
Isn't it so convenient that these changes go through the same time that's happening? Weird.
Mysterious.
Yeah. To be fair, everyone's freaking out about it, and I hope that looks even worse for them.
Discord is the easiest to bully company into going back on things, which is nice.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, because there are other options, the reason people use Discord is because it's convenient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There actually are other options to Discord that aren't terrible. None of them are as solid as Discord, but they're not bad. And that's why it's easy to bully them, because they see because literally what they literally became a big company because of Skype screwing up.
Legitimately,
They would not
if
exist if Skype didn't
Valve
screw up.
put in the effort, Valve could kill Discord overnight by just
Agreed.
making their chat features better.
Yep, and making some video chat features and making community features and stuff. I 100% agree. But yeah, I'm looking into Stoat. Even if Discord backs down on this, I'm still planning to do a mirror. There's a thing called bridging, which you can basically make two platforms have the same content and it will communicate back and forth with each other. I plan to do that with Stoat, just so that way people don't have to use Discord if they don't want to.
So another kind of one of those things that just keep an eye on.
We love tech industry overreach.
Yeah.
I love it when governments and companies tell you how to behave on the internet.
Mass surveillance is good, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I think I read a book about that, in school.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
There might be a corner.
Maybe more people should read that book.
I'm pretty sure that corner of my house over there doesn't have any cameras pointing at it. I'm pretty sure.
I don't know. Give it a little bit.
Give it a little bit. Certainly speaking, I think it is a thing to keep an eye out, and keep an eye out on any video chat system, especially because nowadays plenty of us use Discord or other other online things for tabletop games. Especially for TPRPGs. It is the best way to communicate while you're over on Roll20 or Foundry or any of the other places. So it is a thing for us to keep an eye on. Unfortunate.
Oh, also there's a video by, I feel like I want to mention this, by No Text to Speech. That's literally, this exploit bypasses Discord's age verification. You could literally go and look it up right now. If you get locked behind it, don't submit your data, just use this hack.
Yeah.
Jeez. I mean, it does go to show, because I was hearing talking about this, how there's so many ways that, was it the UK one can be overturned?
I mean, people
that's
were
the thing. It's
getting
already
past,
in.
People were getting past the UK one by using Gary's mod.
The reason this works already. Also, that was Roblox's age verification technically, but the reason this works already is because this has already been rolled out in the UK by law. That they're just saying, "Oh, we'll apply it to
I believe.
Yeah, they're just like, "We'll apply it to everyone," and it's all and everyone said no.
But the thing is, it's out of date, manipulative people in charge of the UK that did this, not anybody with actual children in mind. That's the problem. It was not for the children there. It's not for the children here.
It's the 80-year-olds who think that the internet is a scary place, and that for some reason, they didn't take care of their kids. They didn't watch their kids. Their kids were latchkey kids, so they didn't take care of them. So they believe that it's their job to make sure that the next generation takes care of their kid or doesn't take care of their kids, because they don't know what that's like.
Out of touch 80-year-olds. Yep. Mm-hmm. Anyway. Should we get into some tabletop topics? That might be a little bit
we should
nicer.
actually probably get on
that. Yeah.
True.
Let's go over some RPG things. We're going to be revisiting D&D, but for now, we have a quick stop by some D&D for some toys. Toys are nice. Quest for Toy Line's coming out with an actual toy line that's supposed to be for kids. It look neat. The Mimic looks neat. I'm fine with this. It's a cool little thing. Awesome. It's expanding the brand in a good way. Yeah. Anyway, we also, in some RPG news, are going to have this.
Honestly, this is really cool.
Yeah. The 30th anniversary of Deadlands campaign. We know a bunch about it. I think we kind of talked about how they were planning on this, and the Kickstarter is going to go live on the 17th, and we just have some more information about it.
Fun.
It's going to have a 30 years book as part of this entire thing that they're doing some more stuff with, and the Grit and Ghost book, they say. So it's this big stuff that they're doing for their big, hey, we've been out 30 years, which, honestly, I didn't even think about it, but mid-90s would have been 30 years for this. I'm damn, wow. Deadlands been out. Yeah.
I'm 32.
Yep. You're still older than Deadlands.
Deadlands be
Congratulations.
old.
And then our last little bit of the RPG news is Pirate Borg is getting a new pace. There we go. A new expansion and a starter set, which hopefully will be very nice.
Nice.
I definitely need to look into the board games.
Yes, they are ones that I have heard some interesting things about, and I knew a couple people that were planning on testing them, but I just never had a chance to check in with like how much they dove into it, kind of thing.
I own one or two of them.
Yeah, so
I just don't remember which ones.
this might be a good way to get into it, because that's one of those things. Is yes, it's a simple system, but still a starter might be a good way to go about it. It's kind of one of those things. Is we talk about how starters are kind of like, well, starters are better than the brief stuff.
The quick starts.
Quick starts. Yeah, starters are usually
Yeah.
better. A starter set and like it might be a very good place to start with, like a small adventure and kind of stuff like that, because it does give you the idea of how an adventure in the system is supposed to work. You know, yeah. So, and the Down Among the Dead is the expansion also, with more adventures and classes too in there. So, yeah. Those are two things that will be coming out soon. Cool. All right. So I had chosen a very interesting topic for today because there was two different little bit of things that came out in relation to everybody's favorite company, Hasbro. So why don't we can start with this first part of it, part 1 of 2, which is the Hasbro CIA has said that AI integration has been a clear success.
Of course they said
Oh boy.
What do they do? Where do they stick their AI?
Oh, they've at least been saying like it's been helpful at the beginning. Like, okay, so here's what I'm gonna say. Some of this stuff still kind of puts on that edge of like, you know, if you use something like a chat BBT to give you an idea, and then you take that idea and run with it, I'm still like a little suspicious of you, because that idea might not have been, if you're at least not using that idea, you know, you're at least running with it and developing something off that idea. Like maybe if you've got like writer's block or something, cool, great, whatever. That's still something. You're not building directly off of that. Is that what they're doing? If so, why would they need to?
Well,
Because that's the only level of things that...
Remember, this is the same guy who said this is the same guy who said there's not a single person who doesn't use AI to make D&D games. So he's probably just lying again.
Yeah. They're taking a human-centric, creator-led approach. AI is a tool that helps our teams move faster and focus on higher value work, but people make the decisions to determine their own creative outcomes. It's exactly what I was saying. That's what I was thinking that they were going to go about.
Because when you make an announcement like this is, hey, investors, we use AI. We're cool. Give us money, please.
Yeah. It's going to help our workflow.
Okay. I mean, he says we're deploying AI across financial planning, forecasting, order management. That one scares me. Supply chain operations, also a little bit terrifying, and training and everyday productivity. That one, but
there are portions of it, that don't sound
financial planning. Literally, that is what AI was invented for. As a data analyst, we learned AI in the data analytics course because literally it's just training and using data to make predictions. That is like the core of AI.
Mm-hmm. I can see forecasting being used for it because that's predicting a lot of stuff. So okay, cool.
Financial planning is very good. Granted, it's still only as accurate as the data you put into it. So if a team says, I don't believe that would work, and then they make you change it, you can make it say whatever you want because data manipulation is a real thing. But
you would hope that the data would be correct. Anyway. Yes.
Yeah. Well, my point is that, you know, a greedy company who won't take no for an answer might still have bad outcomes.
Let's replace Chris Cox with a AI.
I think it would run the company better.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I did think it would run better.
In fact, I have seen people like say that like AI has like like there's been like one or two people who have tried AI as management positions, and they actually tend to work better than replacing the common worker.
So those, so order management, supply chain operations. So these are things that I'm like, okay, how would AI affect these things?
Probably gonna make them worse overall.
Also, I
Quite
like over the
honestly.
next year, we anticipate these workflows will free up more than 1 million hours of low value work. That is okay.
That's CEO talk for we're gonna lay more people off.
Yeah, right.
Wow. That's a lot of hours. That's
also
a lot of hours.
And we're
largely
reinvesting that
not
capacity into
true
innovation.
because it's, if I'm remembering correctly, largely proven that when you start using AI to do a lot of stuff, it usually takes more hours to fix stuff.
Yep. This is actually like I actually
You're
tried to
being
integrate AI
more
into.
inefficient.
Yeah, no, it is really funny because when AI first came out, I like being a data analyst and having worked with it before. I'm like, oh man, this is so cool. I'm gonna like mess with it. It was so bad at like doing basic things that it really wasn't worth using it to do anything. Like there's been very few times where I've actually found it more useful than just being semi-creative.
Okay.
Generative AI is really dumb.
So
Yes.
I can officially announce what that means is he's going to lay off another 500 people.
Oh yes.
Oh.
Absolutely. I
said
think
about
we all saw this coming.
250 days a year work. Let's say 16 or like 16 off.
2040 hours is 2040 hours is a year of
or 50
work.
times like 50 weeks times 40. Yeah, let's do that. 50 weeks, let's say, times 40 hours. Yep, 500 people. So yeah, that's 500 more people he's going to be laying off.
See, the really great thing about D&D is I don't have to engage with anything this company makes.
Yeah.
At this point, yeah. I honestly, I kind of feel like there are plenty of people who make good D&D content who aren't wizards, and those are the people who you should be going to. I mean, Tales of the Valiant exists, and like these other things, and then like the other third-party people like tend to just make way better content now. It's just not worth going to D&D for anything.
It's also the thing
or
that
wizards
like
for anything.
you know, I'm going to say it was a very good storm of certain things that happened last year when it came to Magic. And I'm not going to say that because what?
We've reduced time using AI. We've reduced time from concept to physical prototype by roughly 80%. That's terrifying.
You don't say. It certainly shows.
It really does.
Yeah. Man.
Using faster iteration and more experimentation with human judgment and human craft determined what ultimately gets selected.
We're just throwing some stuff into AI and then someone's like, that'll work.
It's very reminiscent of any time Microsoft CEO opens his mouth about AI. It just comes off as like the most pathetic thing.
It does come off as a please use our thing. You know, that's what the Microsoft CEO is like.
This statement really comes off as a man begging for investment.
Yep. No, it really does. It's literally just saying, AI will make all of this more profitable. There will be 1 million hours of work done and 80% reduction in the process, making us work. Let's see. Like 1 million hours times 80 times 4 or 5 would be like, 50 million, like 5 million extra, hours worth of work that's being done because of AI. Please invest in our company.
Please give us money so Hasbro doesn't take me out behind the shed.
Yeah. But
and even then, like I've been watching like some finance YouTube videos lately, and the idea of Hasbro being sued by their investors is also problematic, like for precedent setting, because it could actually give precedent for companies to be more more, what is it, responsible?
Beholden to their shareholders.
To their investor, to their shareholders.
Oh, you are right. Oh my god. It's like, it's something that like the investors are in the right, But the problem is, because what they're saying is like, that makes sense, and also it does seem like there was horrible mismanagement. But if they win, yes, it means that they have more power, and they're more in charge. That's just, it's the double-edged sword. Holy crap.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah. I found out about this and I'm like, oh no.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Jeez. That is a mess. That is a mess. So I'll add in the second part because I do want to circle back to some things related to this if we kind of get into, but I'll put the second article in here too to kind of add into that here, which is that they're trying to make D&D what they call like a first digital brand, a digital first brand. So
this man really is bent on just killing D&D, huh?
D&D doesn't work as a digital brand. Like,
no.
It,
I mean, by all means, make it a digital brand so I can get stuff for free easier.
Yeah. Like, I'm going to say this here. A TTRPG, though even played online, there is this kind of physical aspect of it. It's the people that are playing together. You are never going to get away from that. Yes, we can have our dice rolls online. We can have our character sheets online. We can have our books online. But there is always a physical aspect of it. It's we are engaging with each other directly. You sometimes kind of do that with games, but you don't really always do that with games, like with video games and stuff like that. And even games, people like physical copies of them more. It's harder to get them nowadays. Like, there's not practicality for getting a game for PC, unfortunately. But
yeah, except people are getting more and more like
we like physical things more. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I like owning my stuff.
Yeah. I think it's like, because they've made D&D Beyond the only place that you can get digital versions of things, it's sort of like, yes, you are going to be only the digital. If you put it in other places, like I don't know. It's tone deaf. Tone deaf part of this entire thing. It's this tone deaf of AI, digital only. We're going to use that to win out. Oh, hey, big on our movie and other things where you can have them streamed on your favorite streaming things, a series on Netflix and stuff like that. Woo. Man.
Okay, this is really funny. So digital sales currently make up 60% of D&D's revenue. I'm curious as to... Hold on, there's a link here. Is this... So it's mostly D&D Beyond. Yeah, okay. But it was down. Like, that's the thing. It made me 60%, but it is down, their sales overall.
Digital sounds were down 19%. Tabletop up 2%.
Like, D&D, and this is always my criticism of the current infinite growth mindset. This is not a product you can do that with, because you don't need to buy more than one book.
I think
you just need the one book, and then you're done. You've got it. You can do whatever you want with that one book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the stuff they're offering, we don't need that.
Exactly.
Okay, wait. So I want to ask. How much? How many? They went from 4 to 7 a year, right?
For
Releases for Magic.
They went from 4 to 6 to 7 this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 6 was last year. Mm-hmm. So I want to say, so that was a 50% increase in product, and that only led to a 3% increase in sales.
Well, which is an interesting thing, because...
Or in profit, technically, but that's still not amazing.
Well, that's an interesting thing, because they have said they have 2 of the highest selling sets last year, which were Final Fantasy and Avatar, actually. Which is a problem, though, because it's a bad precedent. But it's a crappy perfect storm. That's what I kind of wanted to talk about, too. Last year, for the Magic side of things, was a weird perfect storm. I'm sorry. Final Fantasy hit the 3 big markers you want with the Universes Beyond. It was a thing that a lot of Magic type players like a lot. It's a brand that also fits in with magic in a lot of ways, a lot of its mechanics. And then the set itself, if we look at it, it was both mostly kept to what you would expect from the Final Fantasy cards, and then also worked mechanically. So it's like we came up with stuff that would, unlike the Spider-Man set where no one knows what the fuck what those were doing, but like, you know, it's like, oh, this card does this thing that makes sense for this character. It also works in Magic pretty well. So it's this like kind of perfect storm of stuff that made the Final Fantasy set really good. And then we brought in all the Final Fantasy people. Honestly speaking, we brought back a lot of people to Magic, you know, that had been away from Magic, that had kind of walked away because they were interested in this, because a lot of people like now they're doing their like one video game a year. A lot of people are in like what, Final Fantasy 14, Final Fantasy related stuff, and you know, so we're bringing that crowd in. And then some of them have stuck around for Avatar because they heard about the Avatar one. They didn't stick around for Spider-Man.
No,
but I'm going to tell you, none of the universes beyond this next year are going to do that. We have Ninja Turtles, Hobbit, Star Trek, and Marvel.
Star Trek might be the only one that might sell well.
The other three,
but
I don't see.
I'm trying to find the initial sales
Doing
for
okay.
last year. I'm looking at their report.
But, you know.
They literally put... Also, they're literally putting, like, advertisements in their report, which is really weird.
Nice. Classy.
Right? It's almost like, look what we're doing! We have lots of stuff coming up. Please support us.
I mean, they are doing bonuses too, because they are bringing in, as they say with this article here, they're bringing a lot more digital exclusives and third-party people in, so they are offering more on D&D Beyond, and because the people that they're bringing in are third-party, they're getting a percentage of that. That's extra profit there too. Is it a lot? No, but it's like, you know, fucking think about Steam. Steam used to like make, you know, Valve used to make their own games. Then they just were like, oh hey, we can just sit here and people on our platform.
They do still make games.
I guess they technically do.
Deadlock exists.
They made Deadlock?
Yeah, they're the Deadlock guys.
I didn't know they made Deadlock. Like, it's not a game I'd play, but it looked interesting enough to be like, that's a neat little game. You know, it's like, that looks a little more interesting than other games of that type. You know, I'm like, you know, I think I've watched a few people play some and been like, yeah, that's neat enough. You know,
they made that VR. They made the Half-Life VR game.
Well, that was
6 years ago.
That was my joke. That they like did something like once in a while. It's like they actually do some stuff occasionally.
And Half-Life 3 is definitely coming out.
But again, like, they have this model where like they just run the entire store and they get enough a lot of times.
I mean, if D&D Beyond was a good website, they could do that, but it's not a good storefront.
No. And unlike something like Steam, where yes, there's a lot of games that you get off of Steam that you would need Steam to play. There are a bunch of games you can get off of Steam you don't need Steam to play.
Like, Steam's got its problems, but its competition is just worse.
Yeah, they don't require that. A lot of people do build that into their games, but they don't require it, is the thing there too. So there are some games that if something, God forbid, happened to Steam, there are some games, if you had them downloaded, you could still play. Probably there's other ways to get around them anyway. You can't do that with D&D Beyond and the stuff that's there. I think that's the other thing. You can't do that with it. It is like it's such a limiting factor. They have such a bad setup for it that like they're desperate in a lot of ways to get it to work. So it's like they're just doing so many bad decisions, and we can see that here with Chris Cox being completely out of like not understanding anything that goes on, and also wanting all the money from the AI bros. AI bros invest in me. Yo, we doing AI shit here. Word. Yeah, both of these like articles just made me like, oh god, we gotta talk about this. This shit we just gotta talk about.
I mean, anyway, I was trying to find the math. I was trying to find what it increased from to 2. Like, you know, because they said they like got like 3% increase in sales, but my thought is all like, well, let's say your sales were like, you know, like a 3% increase when you did 150% products released, and only 2 of them were amazing, like amazing sales. What happened to the other 3? What happened to the other 4? to bring it down that much. Like, that's my thought. But I need to see the numbers to know exactly if this is kind of more of a fallacy thing,
Okay.
where the numbers shouldn't jive,
So,
or something else.
This is also the last quarter, not the entire year. So this wouldn't have included like Final
Oh.
Fantasy. This would have been
Oh, you're right. This is
probably
Q4.
like
I thought it was
Spider-Man, maybe
the
Avatar.
top of this report talks about full year, so I thought it was full year. But yeah, you're
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
When you scroll down, it is only Q4.
It would be interesting to see what the full year was from last year, though.
Because it only says full year highlights.
Yeah. I mean, it goes to show you, like, the Player's Handbook sold more copies. I mean, it's the time of year people buy stuff. It's like Christmas holiday season. People are buying stuff. So, I mean, that's to be expected. And people still want to... People are still interested in 2024, I guess. You know, it's not completely dead. It's just because it's got a lot of... Again, it's got a lot of good ideas. It's just not putting out stuff for it. Like, really good stuff. I don't know. Magic being up's an interesting one, but I guess that could be said to honestly than Avatar.
More releases, right? That's why it's
and more
there's making more stuff.
You're right, more releases. Oh god, it's a mess. Well, they're like digital sales down 19%. Well, yeah, I guess 2024 had they're saying Baldur's Gate 3 was out, so they're not selling that.
Yeah, I mean,
that makes sense.
Yeah, Baldur's Gate was like the biggest thing for them, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's one of those things that we'd have to get information from like the past couple of years to really analyze what the hell's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not easy to do. So the quarterly reports say things, but they don't give a lot of information off.
They're always more for investors to be like, hey, look how good we're doing, give us money.
Yeah, which in a weird way kind of puts them into a little bit of a misleading light. Actually, you want to know what's really funny? Working in like basically the accounting department at my job, man, you can really screw with numbers and still be correct.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy how much you can mess with the numbers for both tax and like reporting purposes.
Yeah. It's also interesting to see that like 2025 they had a profit, while 2024 they had a loss the same period. That's interesting to see. Huh. Also, it's Hasbro's just a weird company with what the fuck's going on with it. I just don't know at this point in time. It's the thing of like
the full year of Magic was up 59%, so they did basically.
I mean, it makes sense because Final Fantasy sold incredibly well.
Avatar sold
incredibly well.
Yep.
I think oh god, what was it? The Space one also sold really well.
Mm-hmm.
They had like 3 back-to-back pretty good ones with Spider-Man between that. By all accounts, I think did pretty poorly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, so that makes a lot more sense now that I was able to find the full year numbers.
Because Final Fantasy brought me back to Magic, and then I immediately was like, oh yeah, I remember why I stopped playing this.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. Top best-selling Magic sets as of August 27th. That was on TCG Player. I guess Avatar jumped up there because Avatar had been at 10. Really? Wait. What? What's this? This has to be incorrect, this entire thing here. This is weird. Because they put Edge of Eternities... Oh, actually, apparently, as of August, which I'm sure now Final Fantasy's past it, but as of the beginning of August, Edge of Eternities had still sold better than Final Fantasy? What? I'm curious about this article here. I just found
I know Lorwyn sold like incredibly well.
Yeah. It's the thing that I guess it's really hard to show in a lot of these things.
Yeah, and Dungeons and Dragons went up 33%.
Makes sense.
So
'cause,
Okay.
yeah,
So this was the top
releases,
selling sets
so.
of August. I'm sorry. Okay, so top selling sets of August. It might not have been all time. That's a little harder to say, I guess. But yeah, Edge of Eternities did a lot better. But that made sense. This is so hard to find out.
Yep. Yeah. So that 33% is fine, but seeing as how that does include like the beginning of the year, they were still selling a lot of the D&D 2024. Because if you remember, like February was when D&D 2020, D&D 2025 Monster Manual came out. You know,
Mm-hmm.
if I recall, it was like February, which is
That's
so
around
late.
that time, yeah.
Uh-huh. And like to be fair, like people are still exploring all of the stuff. The 2024, I feel like honestly, the general vibe I'm getting from watching a lot of YouTube videos about it is that it is an improvement.
I can talk about 2024 a little bit because I've been running a 2024 game for a while. It's pretty good. I've just had to change a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was.
It's last time running 2024, and I blended both rules together.
And that seems to be what most people are doing by now at this point. So most people take like whatever's better between the two when it comes to like a class or something.
Yeah. I guess what's going to happen is they had some great success. Like I'm just going to put it out here. They had some great successes with 3 universes beyond. So they're like, it's going to work for everything, because
Yep.
the top sellers for that they've said this is Wizards from from an earnings call, is that the top 3 sellers ever were Final Fantasy, then Lord of the Rings, then Avatar. Like first to definitely understand Avatar. It's on the back of Final Fantasy to a degree, but it is also like a very good set, honestly, so I can see that. And then I didn't even realize Tarkir was the best-selling in-universe set. Tarkir Dragonstorm.
Yeah.
I didn't it was something I wouldn't even thought about because it was just so there.
Tarkir sold well, but it got buried between 2 bigger marketing sets.
I feel bad for it because like it sold well on the top of its like history.
Oh, I mean,
and
it's
being a good set.
it's actually quite good. It didn't get a lot of like marketing and showtime because it's still cheap, unlike anything else that gets a lot of marketing.
Oh, you're
Yeah, because
right.
basically the reason they're pushing the other one so hard is because they need to sell well to make up the difference from the royalties.
That's
They
true.
need to make up the licensing cost.
Yeah.
Because I can tell
sorry.
you that Final Fantasy branding was not cheap.
So, 2024. Yes. Sorry, I interrupted that a little bit. About how much changes do you have to say would you have to work on to get it to like really a good spot?
I would say, you can run most of it as is from the book, but there are a couple of rulings from 2014 that are outright better, or just more clear. One of the issues I have is I do not like both 2024 Bard and 2024 Paladin. That's my personal preference. I don't like either of them. 2024 Ranger is a downgrade from Tasha's Ranger.
Yep, I've heard that.
Like entirely.
So,
and then a lot of spells got worse and a lot of spells got better. Counterspelling is more fair now, but it also just means you're never really going to take it at this point.
So, there was the one thing I wanted to say with that is the 3 classes that when I was reading up on stuff of them that I was like, I don't really like these changes. Turns out that they really are bad because of some of those changes. Well, maybe a combination of factors. Because I was I complained a lot about, well, not the Bard as much, but I was complaining about the Paladin and the Ranger and a lot of their changes to them. Wow.
Yeah,
Bard?
Paladin would be... The only issue I have with Paladin is that smiting is specifically a spell, which means it gets turned off by a lot of things. I think you could have just fixed it by making it once per turn.
Agreed.
You didn't have to make it a spell because that turns it off when you deal with a bunch of stuff. The other thing I'll say, Druid still sucks.
Mhm.
I don't think they know what to do with Druid.
They were made. In fact, they were made a little bit worse by changing it from HP to temp HP.
Yeah.
Man. I think that's
yeah,
it's that one thing that like people would always talk about. Oh, they get all this bonus HP, but yeah, but they're a druid and they don't do anything with it.
It's not a fun class to play is the problem.
You're
Yeah.
still that animal, which is probably going to be like less tough than what you could
I
be
can
playing.
talk about this when we get to our week, but Lightning is playing a Pathfinder druid. That is infinitely more interesting than anything 5e has ever done with druid.
Yep. No, I agree.
Simply because druid spells are better in Pathfinder.
If you remember in the Pathfinder Crimson Queen game, I eventually switched subclasses basically. I forget what they're called.
Archetypes.
Archetypes. Thank you. To one that actually had like and it actually just straight up copied the druids like wild shape, and that was very interesting. Like you do a lot more with it in Pathfinder than you could in.
But you know why?
Like,
it properly scales.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's the big reason.
You know,
nothing scales in 5e with druid.
Yeah, they tend to avoid like a lot of scaling in 5e, which there are definitely things that require it, and it's weird points. Like they scale with certain things, but other things they don't even bother with. Like the rogue, it gets scaling, it gets sneak attack as it goes. Cool, great. Does anybody else? Sometimes, but like this is one of those ones where it needed that, and they're just like, nah, you don't get that.
Yeah.
Druid
and Cleric have similar problems. In 5e, but Cleric gets a better spell list, so.
Okay. Well, at least someone gets the spell list.
Yeah, they just... Druids just don't get a good spell list. It just sucks to play it.
Yeah, and I feel like that's the other thing too. Like, I feel like they could actually make the druid a lot better by just adding more spells. I feel like 99% of the spells they add are like wizard, sorcerer, cleric.
Yeah, could have fixed all this with doing your UA thing of, hey, we're just gonna have three spell lists, and then that was too much of a difference for D&D players apparently.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. The problem is people kind of wanted a 5.5, but then they kind of didn't really commit even to a full 5.5.
I don't think people who play 5e actually know what they want.
I think that's true.
I agree with that to a degree.
It's
because it's so diverse. It's because it's so uniform.
You have so many different people playing it.
Yeah. And the fact that it's so adaptable to everything everyone wants, people kind of wanted to keep it that way.
I think it's also that thing, too, that I kind of say about, like, the 3 spell lists. It wasn't a bad idea, but I think, like, it's why I always said, like, Pathfinder did it better, because there really was something that needed a 4th one. There was some kind of other, like, different type of spell list. Like, the 3 that they provided were like, that's neat, but there's, like, holes in certain types of classes and stuff, and that's really hard to define. Granted, you could be like, it could take it from either of these 2 spell lists, but would that give like Bard too much power or something like that? That's the kind of weird thing.
Well, the trade-off is Bard as a class kind of sucks in 5e. So you don't really do a lot as a Bard.
It's that one thing, as I really like the flavor of Bard in 5e, but like having played through it, like with Joe's game, the spells suck. Like,
there is
they really do.
A reason in 5e my most played classes are Paladin, Cleric, and Fighter.
Like, there are some... I'm not saying there aren't cool spells, but it's sort of like when my selection is like this one cool spell or nothing really else.
Yeah.
It's like you want to have like 3 or 4 different spells that are like really cool to choose from, and then some like middle ones. There are some middle ones, but that's about it. It's like one cool one and a few like middle ones, and then like a lot of like, well, these are utility spells. Where do I want to take them for my small spell collection?
But yeah, if you run 5e, I do actually recommend using 2024 just because a lot of the like social rules and interaction rules are a lot better.
Yeah.
It's a lot of the class stuff that's a lot more like, hey, examine it, see which one you like better.
and I think it maybe like make decisions on stuff too. Like you might have to be like, honestly speaking, take a look at spells, like certain spells and stuff like too. If you feel like you don't like how something is, like especially if your players are looking at it, talk with them and maybe take the other version of it if you feel like you can make it work.
I'm kind of the worst person to ask about because the 5e that my group runs is barely 5e anymore.
Also, I want to say, if you really do want to make Druid good, add like quarter level to armor class, like of like the creatures. So it's all like when they transfer. So that way they're actually able to scale with not being hit. Because that's honestly the worst part is the fact that you're pretty much always hit because nothing scales well. So if you add, by level 20 plus 5 to AC of a creature with like 12 AC, it's like, okay, cool,
Every druid subclass should either enhance wild shape or give you something else to do with your wild shape charges.
Agreed.
Yup. Yup. But unfortunately, that's, it's 5e.
It is what it is. You deal with 5e.
What it is. Well, shall we move on to some of our other news topics before our deeper discussion one here? We got a few more random news topics now that we hit that big one here. So, we'll just get with the... we had the banned unbanned announcement, and there was only an effect on Commander. Okay, there was on the digital only formats, there was an effect too, but those were rebalanced, and I never like those because it's sort of like we just rewrote a card online, and I'm like, ugh. Like I don't like alchemy very much. I'm gonna say, it's rebalance sounds like I just don't like. But anyway, Biorhythm is unbanned, and they also have like a partial unban because it's a card where they're like you can use it. It just can't be a companion because companion is broken.
Companion might be the worst mechanic they've ever had into the game.
Yeah. So they're just like, look, you can use it if you don't do that mechanic. That's basically. Yeah. Because really, isn't it just like a deck building ability that if you build a deck with that, you can like use it, you can cast it without having it in your sideboard effectively.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. And then Biorhythm came back, and Biorhythm's like, it's expensive and it does a thing that maybe you can do something with it, but like...
Yeah, it's a silly card.
Yeah.
It's the equivalent of casting that one card that sets everyone's HP life to 1 and then resets the game.
And just to address the elephant in the room, they have specifically said they did look at Mystic Study and are like, hey, look, people both really hate and love Mystic Study. We're not going to touch it because of that.
If you complain about Mystic Study, you are weak.
I won't complain about it.
You are weak and you are pathetic.
I love playing Rhystic Study. Every blue deck I made that was a legacy blue deck has a Rhystic Study in it. I have a bunch of those still. They're really expensive now thanks to Commander. I love that card. I'm going to play with it. Will I play against it? Sure. If I play with it, I'm willing to play against it. I have plenty of decks that don't use blue. Yeah. So that's the fun one there. Then Wizards is making a weird little like companion app for Magic, which I'm like, okay.
This could be good because there's a lot of keywords and shit. They would be nice to look up on such an app.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be like deep in depth of a lot of stuff, but it will be like some keywords, some basic information, things you can look up very easily there. Probably message some other people. It sounds like they want to have like some kind of friends list or something. A store locator is pretty good. And knowing about what events are at those stores is very good too. You don't have to look online for it. It has uses. So I'm going to say that.
There are nearly 200 keywords in your game that each do something different. I need
explained on the card.
That aren't explained on the card. I need something to look it up.
Yep. Some of them aren't displayed on card, I must say, but there's plenty of them that like they get to a point in time where like
when I see a card that says banding on it, I don't know what the fuck banding does.
No one knows what banding does. I'm sorry. Banding is the weirdest mechanic, which I understand how it works. Could I explain it in a couple of sentences? No, I need a couple of paragraphs. Because it's and even then, it's still not having all the rules based on it because it's weirdly complex. Because it has to be. Because it was like... And we're not even talking about bands with others, which is another keyword, which is even weirder because only partial banding. So just throwing that out there for you want to be confused out there about magic keywords. Bands with others. Anyway, and then the final bit of news, moving on to some more, oh, sorry, I didn't switch us over to some board game stuff. Just because I'm a Godzilla fan, hey, King of Tokyo, the board game,
Yay.
which is pretty fun, it's getting a Godzilla version of it.
Nice. We love our big lizard.
Yeah. I think King of Tokyo is a fun game. I haven't played a lot of it, but I played a little bit here and there. And, this is definitely one of those ones where I'm like, ooh, cool. It's supposed to have a little bit of tweaks on the mechanics, but it's supposed to be basically the same. I'm interested in what those tweaks are because that can make a difference between you want to purchase something or not. It's kind of like the different Ticket to Rides. Like some of them are a little different and enough to be like, oh, okay, I'll try that one because it's different.
Or how there's like 80 versions of Risk.
Yeah.
I actually learned something about Godzilla. I mean, I don't know, I feel like you guys might have known it already, but did you know that, like, I mean, Godzilla was originally an anti-nuclear.
Yeah.
The very first one was an anti-nuke testing, like, piece. It was like
The first one was genuinely horrifying.
Yeah. And that's why there is actually like a story to both the latest big Godzilla ones that they've had. -1 and was it 0? I'm thinking of.
I guess it's -0, which is coming out
-0
sometime this year.
It was
yeah.
-0 is coming out. There was the I'm thinking of the one with all the bureaucracy, which was a comment.
Shin Godzilla,
Shin
which
Godzilla,
is
sorry.
my favorite Godzilla movie.
That one, which is a comment on Japanese bureaucracy.
And when Godzilla came out in America after it became popular in Japan, it was stripped of all its anti-nuclear propaganda.
Yeah, no, the Americanized version is really bad.
They also inserted Raymond Burr because we needed an American in there. Yep. Didn't do that for any Godzilla after there. Well, I mean, they might have stripped the messages, but didn't have.
Well, they just kind of stopped having messaging. Pretty quickly, the messaging went away.
Yeah.
It became just a big monster thing. I mean,
we want to watch our big dumb monsters fight each other.
Yeah, because Godzilla Returns was just where Anguirus was introduced. I think it was just Anguirus versus Godzilla, and that was it. It's just monsters fight now. Cool.
I mean, the second one is literally called Godzilla Raids Again. That's not a very serious movie title.
it's a name. I know, I love that name. It's just so bad. Look, I'm not gonna lie. Godzilla movies. I enjoy so many of the 60s and 70s Godzilla
I love
movies.
them. They're all my favorite.
Are they great movies? No, they are entertaining movies, though.
They're dumb, and that's all they need to be.
They're dumb in the best way, except for, I cannot remember. Is it Godzilla Returns? Is that the one with the Gabra and the kid going with Minya?
Oh, that one is a movie I refuse to ever watch a second time. Because it was none of it happened. First off, it was all in the kid's head.
Yeah, it was.
So I think the only two originals that have messaging are the original and then Godzilla versus Biollante.
Oh, that's a pretty good one.
And then there's also the pollution monster one that was quite depressing.
Hedorah, yeah, versus Hedorah.
Yeah.
That one had a message, but it was also like it was much darker than any of the ones up till then.
Yeah, that movie was a little messed up.
Yeah, normally you assume a lot of people die. You don't see like people fall over and they glow for a little bit and are replaced by skeletons. Is what they did in that one. They're specifically showing a horrific bunch of people not only dying, but their flesh melting from their bones.
Yeah.
Or implying that's what happened with the horrific pollution monster.
That's right. Now the American ones are goofy.
Yeah. Good old.
And mostly Kong movies more than anything.
Yeah. It's fine. Godzilla shows up with those. All right. So, I got a topic for us today, and it was an interesting one that I put in this list a while ago, and I thought, it's a good point to talk about. Epic adventures, when are they too epic? Because certainly speaking, I was going to say, like, this is the thing I was going to think about. let's take like my big adventure that I've had recently, Fall of Amityville, which did
Hmm.
end up being a pretty epic adventure, I'm going to tell you here. But I could have done some crazy stuff with it. I could have pulled like you beat the big boss, like, oh, you defeat the the Dread Lord or something like that. That goes to like a more extreme kind of epic level of stuff, but it could be a kind of thing. So it's when do your stories become like, and certainly speaking, I know Momo, you've done some stories where it's like save the entire planet, and comparison to like, there's some stories where you're just like saving a small areas. When do you do each of the stories, and when do you transition one story from like a little bit more simple to something where you're like saving an entire planet or
I
country or
think
something like that?
if you are doing an epic adventure that is big planet, to do that well, you need to set out with that being your goal
Makes
when
sense.
you come up with your campaign.
Yeah.
Because when it doesn't work is when the scale exceeds what your campaign was meant to be.
Yeah, I think there's definitely you could definitely do you at least have to have it in mind. It's when it goes beyond there when you don't intend it to. Like you can build something where it starts small and builds.
Yes, like
Um,
there's an example of one of the games in Pathfinder that went a little too epic at a certain point. In the pirate game, when we went on a planar adventure, it didn't really fit super well. It was fun, but it didn't really fit that game very
Not
well.
going to lie, I think I blocked that out of my memory because it was like, why did you go on the planar adventure? Something happened.
So, from what I recall, we went on the planar adventure because we had rescued some kind of Archon,
Oh yeah. Okay.
and I think you didn't want to run a fight where you had to play a cleric NPC. So the
Ah,
whole point of that was to remove a cleric's power, which added like 4 sessions of the game that took longer than it would have to fight a cleric who would have died in 5 minutes.
wow. It's like blocked out of my memory because I think it just was bad. It's like I
It just
ran
didn't fit
that
the game.
and I can't remember it. There were a couple of times where we did some things that were a little off there that I thought, like afterwards, I'm like, I don't know if I needed to do that. I will say that.
I mean,
That
we
way.
all have that as DMs.
You know, um, I think like I'm not going to lie, the outpost with the kaiju kind of thing was not really needed there. That was kind of an interesting idea, but I could have explored that. Like I could have explored something a lot simpler than that. I think kind of replace that there. I didn't
I
even
think
know why you needed to go there.
one of the problems is the shackles gives you such little information on anything that's actually in it.
I think that's the other thing too about that game.
But it
It's sort
tells
of
you
like
you can go to any of these islands, but
it,
the islands have at most like a sentence of lore.
it was very hard to like not just jump into insanity, which was the normal adventure that was written there,
Mm-hmm.
which has like I feel like if you talk about the basic story, it wasn't too bad for like an epic for the story there. It's like
That game has that adventure path has a lot of problems.
it has a lot of problems. But the entire curve of like you spend some time as your press gang into a pirate crew, you manage to break
You
away.
rise up you mutiny, then you rise up in the fame, and then you eventually decide the fate of the nation effectively.
Yeah, I do think the last adventure is like completely out of left field, but for different reasons than if they'd established the a Bone Fist as like an actual enemy at any
Should have
point.
made the way they should have wrote it was Bone Fist was the one actually pulling the strings to let the Chelish invade and take over.
Yes.
That's how they should have done it. Harrigan shouldn't have even mattered that much.
I mean, I could have seen like a climactic thing with Harrigan, but it could have been like more or less. It would have been a little less epic for what would have been the battle with him. He could have still been the enemy of Book 5, but I could have seen him as being like the direct subordinate and connection between Bone Fist and Cheliax or something like that, And maybe there would have been hints before that, Bone Fist was behind this entire thing too. That like he was planning on betraying the Shackles because he was like, he made a deal to like me put in charge as like a governor or something then. So he still would have had all this power or something like that there, or maybe even he was still planning on betraying the Cheliax, but he wanted to like get rid of all of his, all the people that were against him by like
Rivals,
sending rivals and stuff like that. And consolidating his power or something like that. There's a lot of ways it could have been done. Wasn't done well, but again, it was still like, I felt like it was the right level of epic, but a jump leaking logic. There are other ones that are like,
I mean, Wrath of the Righteous goes a little too far at some points, in my opinion, but Wrath of the Righteous is also a game where you are fighting against like a portal to hell.
yes, it deals with ascendancy to divinity though too, which is a little crazy, because like,
Yeah, I mean,
canonically a god short forms out of it,
yeah, I also did get to chat with Ioma Day for a bit, which was kind of fun.
So it's like, I feel like the concept of closing the portal has that epic level of things, but there are a couple leaps of like, where did we get from just closing the portal to creating a new god?
Yeah.
There's a couple levels after that you're like, we got there. As terrible as it is, I'm going to say, with Hearthstone,
Carrying
Crown has the right level of epic the entire time. Granted, there are some story problems to get you there.
It needs better connecting between stuff.
But like, if you would draw a line between all of them, it makes sense, It
has a plot start to finish that is roughly looped together.
Yeah.
With appropriate escalation. I
definitely think like none of the games I've been in, at least lately, have had those leaps too much. Like, I'm just thinking of any games that I've been in or like, I don't think I've ran a game where I've had that problem. I've had like weird leaps inside things, like we talked about.
I think your games largely have appropriate escalation.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about like other places where escalation goes wrong.
I mean, my Star Wars game was a mess of all kinds of problems, but a lot of those weren't my fault.
I wouldn't call it problematic escalation, but there was the escalation in Records of Evil was odd.
Records of Evil was a weird game.
That was a weird game.
Yeah,
that was like a fever dream.
It was kind of like this thing where it's like it was supposed to be world spanning, but it felt way too local. So it was this kind of weird thing.
I look back on that game with fondness, and I'm like, I never want to do that again.
Same for me. It's like
I'm actually in the same boat. It was a nice little game, but honestly, Jess and what was the other person?
Jinx.
I think.
Yeah,
Jinx. Yeah, Jess and Jinx together in an evil game was just no.
Jess isn't a bad player, but she kind of requires like a certain group of people to work with. Like I think like in Legacies of Kain, she worked a lot better,
Well, the issues were both of them are very passive players. They go along with the flow.
Yeah.
But that left me as the only active player, which is very problematic.
Until we got Momo.
Until Momo came along.
Yeah. I think that's what it was. It's like I grabbed you, Momo, and then all of a sudden the plot went forward because we had two people actually able to drive it. Oh god. Yeah. That was a weird one though too.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what?
Like
Children of Wrath.
That also fever dream, also something I never want to experience again.
But I think I had an idea where the epic level was supposed to the level of epicness it was supposed to be. I had an idea where it was supposed to end up.
The problem with that game
it got there, but
is,
not.
Well, when I joined, I don't know how much. I don't know when it fell apart. I'm gonna assume it fell apart when I went to college.
Yes,
but it may have fallen apart before that.
It was already falling apart a little bit before college. College was just like that big nail in the coffin that caused it to mostly.
It felt like there was no combat at all, so there was not really any tension to anything. It was just two idiots. Two idiots against all logic and reason, not dying every time they open their mouth.
It was also this thing of like the few times we got into combat, I think it was like only you and Joe actually could fight.
The other two were really, really badly made characters.
Yeah, you two had characters that could work. Because you are right. It's not that there wasn't combat. It's just there wasn't like real conflict, and
No,
it was that thing
it
of
was
like
a lot of uh, felt like a lot of bumbling around and meandering and just into stuff.
it's like I tried to create this line, and that was a point in time where problems between me and the players, created this thing where there was no good epic throw. Again, it's not that I hadn't established it. It's just that it's like a horrific squiggly line that doesn't tell a very great story.
Yeah,
Again,
I mean, I also it's not entirely your fault either that it was like that.
but again, like it's maybe for me taking a step back now, I should have reduced the epic level of
You
things,
should have
and that would have helped
not
too.
sent them to college.
I mean, that's definitely true. I should have made college a brief stop. I don't know why I didn't make it a brief stop. I don't know what fever dream I was in.
Sometimes we just make mistakes.
Where I think it was supposed to be like a 4-session college arc or something, where I would have introduced something interesting, and it became like 10. Something terrible like that. Ugh. But I think that's an example of like, that's a weird example, because that's like, we have the perfect epic line, but we don't do it correctly. And I think that's another problem
Yeah,
too.
like the epic nature of a campaign has to be earned as well.
Yeah, it has to follow the like a through flow of like set events almost in a while, that it makes sense logically when you're ramping up in scale. And when you don't follow that very well, it's not like it's like you can follow a medium, but when you follow a medium, you still are having trouble with the campaign. Like, oh, this is a little more epic, and this is like less epic. It makes the tone not work well too. So I think that's another problem, is not only like not reading where or scaling up too much or too little when you're like selling something, because you could certainly like like sell a thing on like here's the thing, I could have sold my players on being the ones to defeat the Dreadlord. If I didn't do that, then I'm dropping below that. Now, granted, like there are points in times where the story could differ into something as equally epic, but I'm saying like, well, then you don't do anything at all related to that epic level. Like, then you're just teetering off almost sometimes too, which is like the same problem as like, all of a sudden now you're defending the world against like a super bad, I do feel like Fall went a little more epic than I was originally planning, but I think it was because the seeds were laid far enough back. The shift was more gradual, I think you could kind of say, because it was all about saving everybody, but somewhere around the way we're like, we're not only saving everybody, we're like activating this artifact to do it, and doing this entire like storyline that's related to that, and that kind of like switched it kind of gears there too. Now, I also wanted with this entire thing say like, what do we think about epic finale on how you tell it too? Because that's an important part about this entire thing, reaching that epic level. Because like
that's really hard.
Yeah, because
I feel like often. Sorry, you go first.
Oh, I was about to say. I mean, if you're playing D&D, don't use basic D&D monsters. They're actually really terrible for actual epic boss fights.
That's right. Make your own stuff and then make it multi-phase. The payoff is really hard to land.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Especially because players love to break it.
Yes, players. You are when you're running an epic campaign, you are fighting against your players, because a lot of times they will not cooperate with what you want to do.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, like if we talk about like a campaign that it did have a epic conclusion but had a lot of problems for different reasons, let's talk about Crimson Queen. You did the job in the end. The queen was the enemy. You eventually defeated her in like a big kind of epic thing. It's just like that was just poorly written.
It's a Pathfinder fight at level 16 against a human.
She was
like
surprisingly easy to defeat.
When your enemy is a dude, that's why Skulls and Shackles didn't feel fun. It like didn't feel satisfying, because everyone in Skulls and Shackles was a guy.
It definitely that comes down to also like the type of enemy you fight, because the mechanics within your game do make a difference too.
When you're just fighting normal humanoid creatures, there's not a lot they can do against a lot of mechanics because
Yeah.
it's the basic enemy. Everything affects them.
Yep.
Hey, sorry, your boss got held. He's dead now. You can't do anything about it. You just gotta move on.
Yeah, I feel like there's. I feel like if you do a dude, you have to make it a special dude who's
Yeah,
like
'cause it's
immune
like-
to stuff.
Harrigan was built up pretty well, I think, with his like legend and myth and how much of an asshole he was.
Mhm.
Only for us to get to his boss fight and for us to discover the domain I picked shut all of his abilities off.
I remember that. You had the I cancel your existence of power.
Yeah.
I think the thing about that, at least, is you did not plan for that.
No, I didn't know. I just picked it because it looked cool.
Yeah. And I think that it was a little anticlimactic, but at very least it was like the discovery of like, you can't do anything to us.
Oh, we found the boss's one weakness by accident.
You know, I think I could have displayed that a little bit better for that entire thing too. You know, that would have been a little funny for like,
Because it's really no different than when you go on a quest to find the boss's weakness.
yeah. And you know, wait a second, that was supposed to work. You were supposed to be cowering in fear. You know,
And
something
he
like
just gets kicked by 4 people.
that. Yeah. I adventure showed up. To
But
say
you
hi.
also have points like in Crimson Throne where sometimes I have stupid ideas. And as a wizard, I have access to this spell called Wish. And I, as a player, know that objects can be affected by the Wish spell. So, what if I just wish the crown was in my hands?
Yes. It's you definitely could have done where like you could have gone on an entire quest because wish spell still hard to find. You could have been like, let's go to goddamn Absalon, go buy a wish spell, and then wish the crown away from there, you know, like or something like that, you know.
You could technically just have you could technically with the wish spell just be like, oh, this guy is a lich. I wish he was in the plane of positive energy, and then he fails to save, he's gone.
Again, like there's definitely like, you know, stuff for the wish spell that's not perfect, but usually like, you know, you're smart about it and like, you know, you wish the proper thing. It's not gonna matter. You know, at most it would have been kind of like, you know, the funny thing to be would be if you wished the crown, it would have just been with her, you know, and at the right, honestly speaking, at the point you're getting the 9th level spell, you're probably powerful enough to take her on her own because like she's just a person and her fight is only difficult because there's other stuff there.
Still just a person.
Yeah. This person that I think she was like a bard. She's got some bard abilities.
I think she was a bard.
She's like a high level bard.
Which is like a level 18 bard.
Which is it's not
that is scary.
But
it's
like
scary. But when there's only one person versus like 5 dudes.
She's really made to have like a team.
Yeah, I'm also thinking about like Crimson Queen thing. Where like I feel like that was a very poor stakes not being very like it was very much this it's for this region, but then it's all like, oh no, last minute twist, it's actually someone who will do a bunch of stuff for the whole region.
The twist was really weird.
It wasn't established early enough.
No, they should have established that in book like 4.
Yes.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily a bad kind of graze, but the way that they talked about it, they didn't really hint at anything at all ahead of time. Like
no, it was literally like you get there in the final. Oh, she fled to this place. You get there. Oh, it's this special thing that could destroy the region.
Literally, your princess is in another castle.
Yeah. It's like, wow, that was very anticlimactic. Yay.
It was also the thing, what I have to say for me is I wasn't reading through all the adventures ahead of time as much as I should have been.
I do not blame you for the
That's just
BS
Paizo writing.
Yeah, I do not blame you for that BS. Like, yes, you could have read through all of them, but you would have done so much work. Like, I've talked in the past about you should, like, manipulate books because your player, you don't know. Like, the book writers don't know your players and what they want, blah, blah, blah. But even so, the amount of work that would have taken to just fix the just blatant errors, I don't blame you for, it's still not being great. There's kind of this thing where if something's too broken, it becomes hard. It becomes impossible to fix.
Yeah. I think it's also the thing that, like, a lot of times with things like I will say a lot more of the fantasy written adventures tend to be very heavily written. What I mean by that is they tend to have a lot of stuff established, which means you have to kind of walk back things to make it work for your players a lot of times. It's a difference between, like, I'm not going to lie, something like A World of Darkness or Shadowrun adventures are written very loose, where they're like, here's an outline, here's maybe some stats for some enemies, here's what's going on in the plot, good luck. It's they're not writing everything for you. They're establishing a lot of stuff, and they're like, then good luck. You have to fill in the blanks. We're not doing that for you. Your characters are what fills in that blank. Which is a good thing, I think, in a lot of ways. Yes, you have less stuff. Definitely, but like when they provide you like a group of like 20 NPCs, and we're like, I need to use random gang member 3 because my players have decided to get him fight with this gang over here.
Yeah.
I have their stats, but still, it is a different kind of writing though too. Anyway, I mean, think like Pathfinder stuff, it's like harder to write this stuff, but I mean, like, I think it was a good thing. I will tell you here that Paizo hasn't necessarily walked completely away from it, but they've walked a lot farther away from like epic stories, because like, I'm not gonna lie, they a lot of those early adventure paths were very epic ramp up. They feel like it's not that there aren't threats that are pretty big, it's just they write them in a way that it feels a lot more natural, and it's sort of like rather than like, oh, there's like, the Whispering Tyrant, I guess we don't need a Whispering Tyrant every other day. I mean, he did get defeated, and he's just fair now.
It does lessen Tyrant's grasp when, like, 6 other adventure paths are effectively the same plot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's also, you have to worry about the, like, also, at least Paizo is branching out to other parts of their world, because otherwise you get the Sword Coast problem where every world-ending event happens in one place.
3 cities.
Yeah.
3 cities have every world-ending event in history.
Well, sort of like, I think, like, where that's why, like, I think Carrion Crown works for like the ramp up to that, because it's like, okay, yes, there's a person trying to free the Whispering Tyrant, but it's just a dude trying to free something that's dangerous. The
only problem I have with Carrion Crown is there's no introduction to the cult in book 1, really.
Yeah.
And then book 4 and 5 are very disconnected.
Mm-hmm. And then, like, they don't do a good job of introducing you're just the dude that's going to be freeing the who's trying to free Tarbathon. He's there at the end, and you learn about him in book 6. You kind of learn about him in book 5 too, but he just shows up kind of, and they don't establish him very well. It's like, he's really the guy in
show up at the funeral in book 1. Just have him keep showing up in every book.
Like, even if you don't want to introduce him till after you're killing off what's his face in book 3, you could have a letter from him with like initials or something that you're like, or stuff that hints on who this person is.
I think the adventure actually does suggest doing that, but not for him, but for the guy you kill in book 3.
Yeah, they suggest that for book 1. It's the kind of thing, if you're going to switch the gears there, you should start establishing it there, and I think is what they do, and do a better job of like establishing him. Maybe meet him by chance or something when you reach the capital in book 5, stuff like that.
Yeah, you need to do an epic game, you need to establish stuff like early enough. Otherwise, it's kind of just out of nowhere.
Yeah, I feel like the idea of you don't have to beat the super big evil big bad, but maybe prevent their resurrection or something is a better story, because it's like okay, if this success is successful, it becomes a possible world-ending threat. Because Tarbathon, him on his own,
tried and true narrative.
It's sort of like as Tarbathon, once he's out, can become a world-ending or a really bad threat. Kind of, it depends on stuff going on, but he has to be released first or something. There, like if he doesn't get released, it doesn't matter. He can't start to ramp up to that next level.
I am gonna complain a little bit about Tyrant's Grasp. for the moment.
Oh,
Tyrant's
right.
Grasp, it's an API I've read through. It's a very cool AP, but all of the setup for it is in other adventure paths, effectively.
Oh, you're right.
Because one of the most important aspects of Tyrant's Grasp is that Cheliax is not a major power anymore, so they can't help. And that is not something set up in that adventure, which is meant to be self-contained.
Yeah. It has to take place after all the stuff that happens in the Hell's Rebels and the other adventure that were set around that time period. It's kind of like you have to establish a bunch of stuff with carrying
You
crown.
almost have to give your players an opening crawl
Yeah.
of like, here's the world state.
And there's a couple other things that I think happen before there.
And that is actually a very important thing. I think if you're going to go grand, you have to establish the state of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you the ones doing this? I feel like if you don't have that, it becomes kind of just like, why are we the ones doing it? Like I feel like too many adventures reach that point of like, why are we the ones doing this? This has been a problem clearly for like years, and no one's been doing
Tyrant's
anything.
Grasp does start off in the like funniest way because you just die.
Yeah. It's also
the whole country of Lastfall just explodes.
Yeah, it's also
and I would argue that is something that Curse of the Crimson Queen actually did well. Is why are you the ones doing it? It's because you were just kind of the only ones who like knew about this thing and just kind of.
You're the only ones who found this out, and she really hates you.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like it just so happens you get on her bad side and have discovered some stuff that you really shouldn't have, like, or like, you know, stumble into stuff, which I guess is like you shouldn't have discovered that.
Yep. Yeah. So like at least it does that well. But I do feel like there are other things which are like, why, you know, like there's this super powerful wizard in the tower next door that we keep visiting. Why isn't he doing anything?
Hell's Rebels does a really good job at that, because Hell's Rebels is not a particularly epic campaign. But it does a really good job of that because it goes out of its way to say you're not the only group of people who want to overthrow this guy.
Yep.
You're one of the many groups, and you're uniting people to your rebellion to deal with this.
I did think of another adventure that has a huge effect on Tyrant's Grasp. Iron Fang Invasion.
Yes.
Because that's the entire war with the hobgoblins that results in them getting country in the mountains. But that was a war, you know? And I'm like, oh yeah, a bunch of stuff happened that set a bunch of countries behind that allowed that to happen.
Power struggle in whatever is it, Taldor.
Oh yeah,
the power struggle in Shining Kingdoms also really messes with it.
With the attempted removal of the princess, or the ascension of the princess, because they were always a male line, and she's like the first female ruler of Taldor. Hey, they become
that adventure commits the biggest sin of just being boring.
Yeah, it's like, it's not a bad concept, but from what I've read through of it, it's just not very, like, there's nothing to it. And it's like, again, it's an interesting idea of like this ancient empire, this last bastion of it. They're very, you know, set in their ways, and you're like trying to get them onto a new path with the princess in charge now instead, you know, because all the other options are really awful. You know, it's like it's not that it couldn't be a good story, they're just not done well.
Also, Tyrant's Grasp has a really unsatisfying ending.
Yeah, because you just defeat him and he goes away.
Well,
the super weapon gets defeated.
Effectively, you like don't really win, but you don't lose.
Yeah,
because he just goes away.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, well, we defeated your super weapon.
Annoyingly, it's epic in the wrong way, because Paizo intends it to be the shift to the current setting. But you shouldn't have something playable do that. You should have a book do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, like, it's one of those unresolved things, because sort of like, again, granted, I guess he's a lich and has forever, so it's like Tarpafon's just there. He's just sitting there on an island in the middle of the lake.
He got bodied by orcs, I think.
Well, yeah.
At some point in 2E.
I think it was established that technically during Tyrant's Grasp, he attempted to grab the orcs again, and the orcs were like, wait a second, shit happened to us. last time.
He
And,
got,
and
like,
then
kind of got his ass beat.
because then there's the adventure, which I don't think has come out yet, or has come out. I don't know when all the ones. The one that was the one based around the orcs in Holda Belkins and actually beginning to
I
unite
don't
into
know
a
if that
country.
one's out yet.
Yeah, but they're trying to like the guy who was in charge of that united everybody against Tarbathon when he showed up. He's trying to be like, okay, guys, we've been murdering each other for a while, murdering all our neighbors. This is our opportunity. Let's try to make an actual nation out of us. You know, we can still beat each other up, but we just have to do it a little less murder of each other, and a little less murder of our neighbors. You know, let's take it a couple steps down, then we can work with everybody else. You know, just a couple steps down. We've been doing it well in the city here. We can do it across the nation. Look over there with the hobgoblins. They got a nation. We can do it too.
Yeah.
I mean, I like that story. It's a good one. It's like, you know, Pathfinder orcs have always had the shit beat out of them. They need something, you know. As I said, their storyline is they were basically a bunch of like I'd call them like descended from something carnivorous that had basically reached like caveman level tech, ran into the dwarves. Dwarves didn't like them. Picked up dwarven weapons and decided sword good, you know, and then just basically warred against the dwarfs, which drove their entire culture. And then the two of them pushed them each other to the surface. Dwarfs had culture. These guys were elevated through war. That explains their entire way of life. And they're trying to figure out all that steps that they should have had in between. Finally. It's taking a while. Anyway. Back to that. That was a side note there. That like anyway, I'm trying. Okay, so I think that's an entire thing of like, let's go back to some media, you know, that does a good job of like telling epic stories. You know, like as much as people like meme on like, you know, Lord of the Rings and why they just take the goddamn eagles, they do a good job, of course, across the book of like, you know, the entire story leading up to like defeats there too. You know, I'll say like for characters like Aragorn, you know, accepting who he is and like leading the battle. I guess there's some pacing issues that exist in there.
And if you read the fun fact, if you read the book, Aragorn is on board the entire time to be king.
He's so pumped to be king.
Yeah. They really changed that one.
He cannot wait.
He's just like, look, I gotta embrace my way, you know. We got the opportunity.
Like he literally reforges the sword the first
Dude
opportunity.
does not
he
have
can.
a character arc in the book.
Glad they added that in the movie at least.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, like neither did Gimli or Legolas. It was almost all about the hobbits.
Yeah, because it's written more like a Norse tale kind of deal.
Yeah. Like, yeah. I mean, it does go into their point of view. Also, Legolas and Gimli are they're a lot more gay for each other in the book. I'm gonna say. They're not like actually, but man, is it kind of almost like I could see it.
That's interesting to think about, that like their relationship there is even more like in the book. I'm like, wow, I didn't know that part about that there. Again, like
yeah, they reached that like I think in the movies they reached the acceptance point kind of like, you know, in the middle of the second movie, but like in the books they reach it in like, you know, I think in the when they reach the elves, not like at the first, but like when they reach the elves in the secret forest.
Okay.
And then it goes up from there. So it's almost like imagine like almost like a whole half a book early.
Here's my confession. I've never actually read the Lord of the Rings. I read The Hobbit, but I didn't get to the Lord of the Rings.
Hobbit's the easier read.
I literally just finished reading the Lord of the Rings like a month ago. So I still need to read the Silmarillion.
See, it's like, so
anyway,
I'm coming by like I remember how the movies went and how they did a good job of telling the tale, because I guess that's another thing in media, in books, in TV, in shows, you can also have the same problem. And I think those are good examples if you like would look at media for like how to tell an epic story, because I think that helps too. Because as I think we kind of talked about, I still think inspiration's good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I still think like Lord of the Rings is a great way to tell an epic story, because if you really think about it, it's the one who's least assuming. Like the whole point of the book is the one who's least assuming is the one who has to do it, because he won't be expected. It's unexpected, you know. So it actually like is kind of the point. The reason it's so epic is because he's so normal.
He's unexpected.
Frodo.
And also, it's sort of one of those things is he's already shown to be like at least resistant to temptation to a degree. Not outside of it, but at least like he's holding off and like, it's like, yeah, he's got strength of character also too that he's shown very early on, that combined with the unexpectedness leads to a good tale of like, I've got to be the one to do this kind of crap, and stuff like that too.
Yep.
Is there any story that like, I'm trying to think of, is like a story that's still a good story but like has a really bad like epic ramp up, either like in media and like a book or something? I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head, or like
Aragon?
a game. I guess
I don't like Aragon.
His there.
Any Bethesda game.
Bethesda games are a weird one where they don't tell their tales very well.
Well, they don't tell their. It's so funny because they can have really great stories, but their main story is always trash.
Like, if you want like a good example of where we're building this grand epic narrative, but we fumbled it so hard, the prequel trilogy.
Oh, yeah, I can see that for Star Wars.
Because you've got two movies that are incredibly poorly done.
Yeah.
So poorly done they do not matter to watch, in my opinion. And then the third one is like kind of mid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually a good thing where it's like the epicness is very outweighed. I mean, my favorite thought is like, don't worry, we bought your child, but you can go ahead and die.
The level of outsourcing these damn bounty hunters do.
Yeah. It's one of those things that like when I'm thinking about it too, like, it's like there's an idea that exists within them, but I think the prequel trilogy is not the best way told that story of like point A to point B, like, we've got
it just breaks its own breaks its own tension. Especially, okay, let's just talk about the first one, because that one's, in my opinion, the worst because of Jar Jar Binks. He just literally breaks the tension so often.
Hey, show some respect. That man voted for galactic fascism.
Okay, so there's a good question chat here. So an aspect of epic is the ratio of character to goal. I think that's another one too. Is sort of like characters don't necessarily need to have the perfect epic goal, but they have to at least have like, you can see them be able to shift the goal. Like they've got like maybe like have this idea of being like looking high. Looking to the thing. So that there.
It basically, it has to be appropriate. Like, that's the thing. Like, yes, I talked about Frodo, I should clarify, but you had other people like, I mean, let's talk about Arwen, the girl that was in love with Aragorn but wasn't. Anyway, I forget her name.
Yes.
I think it's Arwen or something like that.
There's a lot of names in these books.
Yeah. But what's really fun, like, I mean, the whole thing where like she has an epic storyline. It's actually a lot more meh, and it ends a lot more meh in the books, but overall, like, her whole thing is like, she goes off to war because she wants to fight, and she ends up killing, like, the biggest bad of the enemy army.
Yeah.
And although Pippin really helped a lot more than it looked like in the movie, because the dagger. So the whole thing of like, no man can kill me would have applied to a woman, but Pippin happened to have a blade which dispelled that power, allowing her to kill him. So it was kind of like a thing that people didn't. She still, was a badass, but it was like, but Pippin happened to have a magic
something
blade.
I want to say for the like an epic story. Something the hero almost always has to go through is the archetypical hero's journey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And a lot of stories, you can do epic stories without that. They're just sometimes a little unrewarding.
Yeah.
You don't see the character's growth at all in those. Like an epic story where your character has it all figured out already, that's boring.
Yeah, and what's funny is a lot of players want that, which can actually be detrimental to their enjoyment in the end. Which is,
we want to be the badass to begin with,
Yeah, because in a weird way, like, actually getting them to kind of follow it a little bit, like, you need something to call them. The refusal of the call. The reason that, like, back and forth exists is because it helps. The supernatural aid mentor can literally just be them, like, a reward being
It
jiggled.
can
in
be a
if
reward.
the-
It could be a guy.
Yeah.
It could be
Again,
the gods.
and then it's like, I'm guessing if you have like the simpler the story, the easier the path. You might not need to like hit as much of the hero's journey along the way too. Like it depends on like the kind of tale you're telling. It depends on the kind of the adventure you're kind of going on. Am I going on a D&D fantasy adventure? Am I going on a more modern adventure, whether it just be a simple like game where you're doing something crime, or something like World of Darkness where it's a supernatural adventure? Am I doing something a little more sci-fi where I'm doing something crazy space related for Starfinder or Star Trek, or more down to earth where honestly I would say down to earth in quotations, where you're something more akin to a Shadowrun, or like even a Star Wars is a much more planetary, much more adventurous,
unironically, the original 3 Star Wars movies are kind of the archetypical epic journey.
Yeah.
They do a good job of telling that tale there too,
Yeah. And when I say the hero's journey, when we talk about the hero's journey, I think something also to remember is it's not like you have to like have the mentor. It's more just or have a call. It's just more like the kind of vibe it gives off, like the call.
You also don't
to,
have to follow the narrative pattern 1-to-1.
Yeah,
obviously.
You kind of figure out where it fits in and where different aspects of it, and something that is equivalent to parts of this can kind of work too.
Well, I actually think like I'm gonna be honest. Like if you look at Fall of Avonswell, it does kind of follow the hero's journey. Like we get called to like kind of help out, but obviously we're told that we're probably going to need to do more than what we're doing now. And so, but we help out, but then we go back, and what we didn't want to leave, like we could have left early to go back to Avonswell to help or something, but no, we decided to stay. And then, we had people push us out.
You had your chance of like the refusal of the call.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then we were pushed out to Avonswell, which became a whole new thing where we made new enemies and allies. So it's like it really did kind of exist,
Yeah.
We were given an option to turn around, we were given that temptation with the people, and it's like we knew as players that we had to refuse. Mm-hmm. So it's like you can like it's not like a requirement, but man, does it actually help?
Yeah, it's a good template to follow.
Yeah.
And again, like
in fact, there's like 10 different like ways to write a book, and it's important just to know kind of story flow though.
Yeah.
They all kind of say the same thing.
Yeah. It's one of those things is I didn't do a lot to follow that hero's journey like on purpose, but I kind of did just by like understanding some basics of story flow, of like where things.
Yeah, you watch a lot of movies and anime, and it's that does get ingrained into how people like if, in my opinion, consuming media is one of the best ways to become a better TM.
As I always say, watch a bunch of stuff, get inspiration. That's where a lot of my a lot of ideas I've had have come from. Sometimes I rip off that inspiration a lot more than others in different places, but usually at least I do something a little different, here and there. I still am accepting inspiration and pushing forward into building something and understanding where I'm getting with that kind of ideas, and getting like inspired just in general. Oh, cool. That's a cool idea. Maybe I could do something like that. Like I will admit, though I would have to rewrite a lot of it. Once I played Skies of Arcadia, and I was reading some stuff in Spelljammer, I ran a game where I made a Skies of Arcadia style world in a gas giant from Spelljammer, because they had gas giant rules in Spelljammer. Of like, I made up my own floating thing. You could tell kind of it was supposed to be like, Sky Islands, a little Sky Piratey, but it wasn't completely its own thing. But you could tell, like, if you're talking about it, I'm like, oh yeah, it's inspired by Skies of Arcadia with Sky Islands and stuff like that. Yeah, I wrote my own thing for it, but it's there, that little hint of that inspiration to begin with. And like, I had some other ideas that I kind of developed on my own, kind of based on some things from that, but I wasn't interested. That game didn't go well because I decided, in an infinite wisdom when I was trying to run it, to make everything Paragon, which is if you don't know from 3.5, it's smashing 2 classes together. You can do that with monsters too. It's not a great idea. It kind of works. I didn't do it well.
You can you need to get some game design chops before you can like do that well.
Well, they had the set of rules for it,
to try.
But sort of like they only really have rules for the characters.
Okay.
Kind of for monsters and enemies, but it wasn't really great. So it was like that was the problem. Sort of like it was a cool idea, it wasn't set for balance. So it's like you could be like a barbarian or something like that. They had rules for playing both at the same time, and it was a neat idea. Barbarian technically is the best of the classes of the old 3.5 classes because you got like the best of everything. But you know, anyway, it was a fun fight. That's why the hybrid classes from Pathfinder reminded me a lot of that, the old Paragon stuff or whatever it was called, where you combine two together. Anyway, but you know, it's. I still wanted to tell an epic tale there, and I had ideas of how to tell an epic tale that started from that, you know, and that was meant to be an epic tale, you know, that was meant to be an epic story and the kind of stuff I dealt with, you know, like, a group that was like, you know, a number of groups that were being oppressive and war and kind of stuff like that. And you can tell those tales and start out from those small areas. You just have to know where you're going. Yeah. So.
Yeah. In fact, actually, I just realized something. Probably another thing to help with epic stuff is to have a bit of a wind down after their previous epic moment. Yeah. I think sometimes people try and build too much and make it like a slope, whereas really you want a roller coaster.
I think it's also like, yeah, it's you have to. It's you want it to be a roller coaster, but you have to make sure those like highs and lows aren't too much. You know, you have to kind of carry it still.
Yeah.
Too, you know.
In theory, it should be slowly rising as it goes, but yeah. Like, you know,
it's a slight wave along a line. You know.
Yep. That's more just something. Yeah.
And I
was just gonna say, yeah. Honestly, look up how. Honestly, I've gotten. I look into a lot of how to do writing and stuff because it really is how to tell a story.
Yeah. I think I was gonna kind of hit in here before we finish up this conversation. I think the big other thing I want to talk about is shifting gears to something a little bit more epic in your adventure. If you decide to do that, don't just do that. I think that's the big thing to say. Like, okay, we've been going through for like maybe like half the adventure. We're maybe not finished now, but I want to make it more epic. You still want to make it slight. Yes, it's going to be much more of a jump than you had before, but you can do that shift if you do it properly. You just have to kind of like ease into that, like, oh, we were going for this like one guy that's very bad. Maybe you can kind of start establishing stuff that he's got like, let's say like, oh, I was dealing with this like warlord in this small area. And that was the entire adventure that we were doing. Maybe now I want to shift it to that guy was technically working for like the empire of an evil empire that's planning an invasion or something like that. And so now that we're discovering that, we're trying to help out the people for that. We can do that, but you kind of shift into hints about that guy before you finally fight him or something like that, and kind of
a good okay, you want to know a good example of kind of something shifting from like kind of more average to something a lot more epic? Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Z.
Yes.
It went from, a kid on a planet, which was pretty epic, to intergalactic destroying empires.
You are
gods who can destroy the universe.
And I do think they did manage the shift pretty well. Granted, I think they used like a little bit of like a time skip too to help that out.
Yes, that was actually a way to bring down, and there was also the whole thing where, it was slow, and it honestly, if you really look at it, like it was really slow in the beginning. Like the whole fact that like Goku dies, and there's a lot of training, and then there's, it starts to build towards itself a lot more.
And they do add in hints of stuff, there's hints of some of the stuff even in Dragon Ball, that they kind of go into, and I think that's the kind of thing is, you can reinterpret stuff too. You could have hints that you had to your players about something else, and you could be like, oh, this is how it should be interpreted, or something like that, that like, that recontextualizes stuff.
Perfect example. Goku originally had a tail because it was just playing off of a monkey from
Journey to the West.
Journey to the West, yeah. But then they turned that into an alien thing. I guarantee you that was not his intention from the beginning. Making him an alien like that.
It was
100%.
The original way that you look at Dragon Ball, it was very Journey to the West coded. It was a lot more at the beginning.
He literally in an interview said that it was Journey to the West was his inspiration. And so it's kind of this thing where it's like, if you look at it, that was his original intent, but in the end, monkey tail means alien. Whoa!
Yeah. It's definitely an interesting kind of like a shift there, and I think that shift can be a thing too. I think you could shift down also, but that's a much more difficult one to do, I think.
You can. I'm trying to think, because funny enough, I always feel like shifting down is better for a lot of movies. Like, I feel like too many movies try to shift. Well, actually, no. I feel like that's probably what kills a lot of movies. When I think about it, they try and shift down because they made their last thing too epic.
Yeah, it's that thing of like, I
But
think you
some
can
can be
do it,
good.
but it's difficult to do it.
Like,
Because
yeah, they tend not to be as good, but some of them are like cult classics. Like, I know a lot of people really like The Lion King 2, which was a shift down rather than a shift up.
Mhm.
You know,
I'm trying to think of like a
uh,
good like thing in a fantasy story where you like maybe it could have been like, oh, we're opposing this like evil empire. We've been hinting at maybe you've got to do something to hit the big guy in charge of it. But then you like a shift down might be like,
stabilizing the country after you overthrew it.
well, no, I was thinking about this. Is maybe if you wanted to shift down, what you could do is you could be like, oh, he's not a good guy, but he really doesn't want to do the bad things that he's doing, that he's got like someone under him that's really manipulating him, and you discover that or something. So you shift down from like, oh, we got to defeat like the evil emperor, to like, oh, this is like this wizard that's been manipulating him, that's using, that maybe doesn't have like superpowers but has like magic to manipulate people, that's driving this
That feels
war
more
and
like
stuff too.
that feels more like a plot twist than a shift down.
I guess that's true, kind of like a plot twist. But
Yeah,
I was
I think
assuming
what
like, like rather than
I
like
think a shift
finding the
down.
magic artifact that you were thinking about to defeat the evil emperor, you're like, well, he's not, he's bad, but he doesn't want to like conquer the world. He just wants to rule this place. He's a bad guy there,
Yeah,
but
I
maybe
mean
we don't have to beat him
that
then or
feels.
something.
Yeah, that feels more like a plot twist. A shift down would actually be like, oh, we just did this huge war and overthrew the empire, and now we're doing a bit, and now we're doing a bunch of politics to like, stabilize the region. That's a shift down,
True.
in my opinion. And that could work if your players are super invested in like the politics and stuff after you did like a huge war campaign. That could work. It really depends. I do agree that shift downs aren't necessarily bad. I just think it's important to do them well and make sure that after the epic moment, your players are still invested in that lower key story, because that one is definitely kind of a bit more counter, but it's not bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you definitely should break up your big stories because it can get overwhelming.
Yep.
I return. So, I think I've hit on all the things about this entire kind of idea for that. I guess again, like, is just the. I guess the entire thing, as I was saying, like, if you're going to like tend to shift down, and you don't want to tell quite as epic of a tale, maybe do that like in the middle of your tale where you're like on the rise, where you kind of like, so you're not like jumping down, but kind of like going like kind of more a slight thing, like there too, like, like you just have to like, beat a governor in a region rather than the emperor or something like that. I don't know. I'm sure there's a storyline there. I'm just not thinking of one right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's. And then if you wanted to, like, yeah, the next season's paperwork. But I guess it's also the thing of like, if you want to end a story at a certain point in time, but have openings for another story too, I think that's also a thing. Also, like, oh, this adventure's completed, we can do something like Fallen Elemental. We had an epic crescendo. We can revisit it. Is it going to be the same kind of story? No. Are the characters always pretty powerful and going to be dealing with some probably powerful creatures and forces? Probably yes, but it's going to be a different kind of story completely. You've had your epic crescendo, you've done your like, epic thing. Would it be necessarily a downgrade to it? It's a different kind of story with the same characters, which can still kind of work. It's like they had their tale, after some downtime. It's a new journey. I think is what it would be in that case, which I think you can do too. Like, I guess that would be probably like, like let's say something like a Star Trek movie. A Star Trek movie, well, a lot of them, some of them have more like, I would say like they're never like crazy epic stories, but like, they have stories, they have conclusions. Sometimes they have effects in it, but then it's the next tale kind of thing too. They've told that story. It's a new story afterwards too, which I think you can do also sometimes too.
Yeah, that's the kind of episodic campaign with the same characters.
Yeah,
is definitely a way to go. if you have that kind of thing going for you, yeah, then you can definitely shift tones a lot.
Yeah, I think it's just that it has to work with it. Like, it has to be a natural progression of what happened. What happened? You can tell another tale. It just has to either be like related or like a progression about what happened in the last one. As I said, for Fall of Amundsen, I kind of want to at some point in time. I'll maybe give it like, I don't know how long, but a little while. Revisit Ixpanor in the group before. That'd be fun. I think I would want to explore that area with different adventures first, like what's happened to the castle before we visit Ixpanor, and establish what's going on with them. But I think that would be fun for an adventure for them, to kind of come in and like do the reverse and kind of find their home again. That sounds like a fun idea. It's a different tile entirely now. But yeah. All right. Cool. Why don't we talk about our week in gaming this week? What we played this week. So,
also, I just noticed on the docket you have Humbles listed, but I don't think we talked about anything Humble.
I forgot to. Let me grab that. I had all these links to 3 different Humbles for tabletop. Let me just do this now.
Yeah, I just noticed that, and I'm like,
I somehow missed this. So here are 3 Humble bundles. We can kind of hit about them. It was supposed to be with the Tokyo one. There's one that's a couple of different books. The Spring Fling one, which has Blade Runner, the Avatar book, the Dune book, the G.I. Joe book, and the Age of Sigmar Soulbound book. It looks like, yeah. There is a related one also. Sorry, here. This is Forgotten Realms, but it's stories, so it's novels, but it's Forgotten Realms and stuff like too. And some of these are I've heard pretty good. I don't know how all of them. There's also a Fallout one. I was going to mention the one, and they had 2 others, so I just added them into when I looked at what was on Humble, because I saw the spring one was there, which was kind of neat. They are. I think the spring one is. 6 items. That's it. Oh, they're all physical. That's why it's expensive.
Yeah, they're all physical books.
Oh my god! I was like,
the
why is
shipping's
that so
likely included in this price.
Yeah, I was like, that's expensive. Why? They're physical. Wait a second.
Yeah.
That makes sense then. So yes, if you want 6 physical books, it's for $159. That's not bad for 6 physical role-playing books. If you want them.
I will say it does do, unless you're gonna follow through, because I know some people at Humble sit around for a while. It does say they all must be redeemed before March 2026, so make sure you're on top of it.
Yeah, so it's if you plan to do that, just do that. Yeah, so that's the one that's the spring thing for a bunch of physical books, which is cool, and the 2 other ones there, the Forgotten Realms novels and the Fallout tabletop bundle, which is a bunch of books.
Bunch of Fallout stuff.
Yeah, cool. So, yeah, there you go. Anyway, we're having Joe's game this week, so we didn't do anything on Sunday. I'll turn it over to you, Momo, because you have your Monday and Tuesday stuff.
Yeah, so Monday game, they basically made a plan. They went through the big portal in the sky, and they're going to go blow up the thing that's holding it open in a big mega dungeon, and then that's going to be the end of the game. They've completed 1 floor out of 7.
Yep.
Just a big old mega dungeon.
Fun with mega dungeons. How about Tuesday then?
Tuesday, we are crashing a masquerade, basically. The governor of the city, who's the guy we're trying to overthrow, he's a Thrun, has put on a masquerade to make himself look better, because he's not too popular at the moment. So we secured invitations by various means. Some threatened people for invitations, and then others did diplomacy checks. Pretty standard stuff, but we did some mingling. We did the first event, which is the Dance of the Damned, which was just 5 perform dance checks in a row with fatigue saves in between them. I was the only one to succeed, but everyone made it to like round 3 and 4, which was kind of cool.
Neat.
Apparently, in succeeding, the guy hosting really hates me specifically now. Because there's a system in which you have to spend points to do actions at this thing. And because now I'm being watched by him, my actions cost twice as many points now. But
Paizo really
in
likes their
doing
weird
so,
systems, don't they?
in doing so, I did gain 20 points for the party.
Okay.
So,
So
pretty
it's
good trade-off.
So it's sort of like you
I
did
think.
earn a lot of points, but you're kind of on the
Yeah.
radar in a way that
On this
maybe
guy's
you don't-
shit list.
Gotcha. Okay, I can see that as a trade-off.
Yeah, we all get to dress up. We had to make cool. We had to describe cool masquerade masks, and we're just at a party. And next session, apparently, we're gonna kill a lot of things at this party.
That
So
sounds
we've
about
been
right.
informed that there's gonna be a lot of combat next session.
You are in a rebellion at like a noble people
Yeah.
party, you know.
We're definitely not gonna be able to kill this guy, who's
Mm.
because he's the final boss, I assume.
Ah,
But we know there are 6 devils at this party, and I presume we have to go kill each of them.
makes a lot of sense.
Unfortunately, Lightning doesn't get to use all of his fancy druid spells, because we do need the building to stay standing, or it would be a pretty bad morale hit to the city. So tragically, Lightning cannot cast Animal Growth and make his huge-sized tiger gargantuan.
Oh, that sucks.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's just saying that it's a line. It's like one of those things.
Yeah.
Like,
So Lightning has, for the most part, the tiger is under the effect of Carry Companion, which turns them into a little statue, which you can then use an action to make them big again. So Lightning, at any given moment, can just throw a pocket kaiju at someone.
I do like
Pocket
pocket
kaiju.
I like pocket kaiju.
It's a
I do too.
gargantuan-sized tiger. What are you gonna do?
Man. Good times. Didn't have anything on Wednesday. I'm off for one more week. Yeah. And so expect stuff to start out sooner rather than later. So expect that. Anyway. I've been doing anything. Oh, wait. I did play something tabletop related. It went well and then it went bad.
Okay.
So
nice.
I played the original Neverwinter Nights with Joe.
Oh.
We picked up one of the adventures you could download. I think it was like iTyrant or something, and started playing through that. It went well until I had an internet outage, which lost us the entire day worth of progress for my character.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Because it doesn't autosave. Ever. And Joe hadn't saved for like a couple hours. So we could replay it.
Those games.
Maybe we will. I don't know. Joe talked about replaying that section, and I'm like, I'll see what if I feel like it. So we're probably going to be off at least for a while before I'm inspired to revisit that, because it was very, like, I feel defeated. We were playing through things, and then it all broke. So, but it's interesting. It's 3.5, but also a little bit of if you're playing the non turn-based for something like the Pathfinder role-playing games and stuff like that. It's certainly a system. I'm gonna say that there.
Yeah.
Certainly a system.
Yeah.
But
so.
Yeah. Yep. You had something that you wanted to throw in there? Your Saturday
Oh,
game,
I
I
was
guess.
I mean, Saturday game, but also before that.
Ah.
So this is less to me like playing an RPG, but more I've been teaching myself vector art, and I've had a very fun time making the ship that we for our spelljamming campaign. They have the layouts, but if you look at the all the official stuff is like super kind of blurry and low quality because they're all just scans of the original books. Like they didn't have PDFs back in the day.
Yeah.
And so I'm going through and I'm making these vector arts, and I'm very proud of my progress so far.
Nice.
I've done 3 floors, and I had to learn. I'm learning how to use vector stuff, which is a pain. Vector is fun, but it's also very annoying to work with.
Ah, interesting. Good
Yeah.
deal.
And then Saturday game, we discussed a plan for far too long, while again, so I ended up doing a lot of. I made a lot of progress on this during. I made a whole floor today during that session. And then we finally ambushed some people who were to try and potentially maybe get some information from them by beating up some of them and then capturing some of them.
I've certainly been part of those times, and also ran those times where planning goes way too long. It's like when your players are doing it, it's like it's hard to interrupt them, but it's also like, you know, when you're part of it, you're just like, no, we gotta like nitpick it all. I've been there.
Okay. Being someone who GMs, I think there is somewhat of a discrepancy. It's like literally a plan is better than spending 20 minutes deciding, because like the GM's gonna throw something at you no matter what.
Yes.
So as long as your plan is like half competent, you're fine.
Sometimes you do have to poke your players a little bit to be like, okay, come on now. Now it's time to move on.
No, he did. They did a lot. I wouldn't say he did a little. He did a lot. He's like, okay, we need to decide on this. No, okay. Stop talking about, like, what happens if this group shows up. You need to decide where you're setting up and then how that will change when this group shows up.
Good times. Silly times.
Yep.
But, all right. Sounds like our little bit of week in gaming. So I hope everybody had a good week and enjoyed all your games and stuff. Why don't we throw it out there? So as usual, Momo, do you have anything to throw on or to throw out there? Or throw it over to Worm?
Don't have any shoutouts.
Throw it over to Worm.
I'm DiamondWyrm. You can find me on twitch.tv/DiamondWyrm or at DiamondWyrm on Twitter and Blue Sky, and DiamondWyrm on YouTube. I will be streaming something tomorrow. I might just keep going on Outer Wilds until I'm done with it. I've just been really enjoying the game, and I've still been super stressed. I did some soul searching and I realized I think the reason I've been playing this game is because I don't have to be good to play it. And like I've been so stressed at work and stuff that I want something that's a lot more chill and laid back.
Makes sense. Yeah. Sometimes you want that.
So I'm like, why haven't I been able to get myself to play anything else? This is probably why.
Yeah. So yeah. Hi, myself, Tantan Adventure Company. I hope you enjoyed being here. Catch me here most days of the week. I'll be back on Tuesday. All links to everything should be either in the description of this if you're watching us live on Twitch or over on YouTube. All the various links there. Make sure to give support on the proper places. On Tuesday, I'll be doing some gaming and some other various things, so make sure to check that out. Doing a little bit of tabletop stuff. My big thing that I want to do right now is hopefully, if everything goes according to plan, I'm going to be starting, because it's been in my library, and I feel like it now, God of War 2018, especially with the other stuff announced. I was like, I guess I'll finally play that. I technically decided that before they announced that stuff, because I was talking about doing this on, like, Tuesday and Wednesday, but now I'm like, I guess I'll do it now, definitely, because I wanted to play through that one. I played through the original ones back in the day, and I haven't played through this one, so, yeah. And eventually I'll probably own Ragnarok and play through that one, too. I like these kind of games. I just don't play them a lot, so that'll be fun. Hopefully. But now, that's everything. All right, everybody. Also, session 0 of the new game should not be this week, but the week after. That's on the plan. Still on plan for that. And that will be, I can announce the title of it if I remember. I'm just calling it Artifact Runners is the entire thing. And we're doing this first adventure of Frosty Job. And whether if we do the rest of the ones, I don't know. Because this is technically part of the series of adventures.
I've thought of my character literally at all.
Okay.
I swear.
Cool. Great. It's a session 0, which is also going to be like world introduction, character building. So maybe you'll be working on it then. We'll figure it out. All right. Bye, everybody. Have a good one.
Bye.